Hello Year 8s. This video is going to help us with our third paragraph, which is about community-led migration. So the community-led migration, for example, Pyramid Hill, why do people migrate from overseas to small rural towns in Australia? And what I'm going to do in this video is break down the article that I had posted a link to in the website, and it's from the Herald. You can see the link just down the bottom of the screen. Okay, so the article is called Regional Australia, International Migration Key to Country Towns. It's by Jack Archer, and the little kind of introduction part says, in the big Australia debate, we should not neglect the role of international migration to small town Australia. Diversity is not just a city thing. So this helps us to understand this article is going to be about the positives of international migration to country towns. So people moving from overseas to small towns in Australia, small rural towns in Australia. So what is happening? Just as migration is transforming city futures, small towns here in Australia are growing through migration, and this is transforming their fortunes. This is no accident. Small town communities themselves are leading the way. So in Australia, we do have a lot of migration, and this paragraph is saying that it's not just the cities that are experiencing migration, it is also small towns in Australia, and they are growing through this. It's transforming their fortunes, so it's transforming how fortunate they are going to be, and it's not just by accident. The small communities are leading the way. All across Australia, we are seeing significant clusters of Maoris, Taiwanese, Filipinos, Karen, Germans, Italians, Papua New Guineans, South Africans, Irish, as well as French. Our top 60 regional ethnic communities include small towns from Western Australia through to Victoria and north to Queensland. What this part is saying is that we are seeing definite groups of these different ethnicities in particular places. So we are seeing clusters. So a cluster is like a group, clusters of Maori people in certain areas, clusters of Taiwanese people in certain areas, clusters of Filipinos in certain areas, and there are a top 60 regional ethnic communities, and these range from small towns in Western Australia, Victoria, and Queensland. Why is it happening? So job opportunities are, of course, an important factor in these movements. Many of these people have been drawn by opportunities in the mines or in agriculture and related industries, but there are other factors as well. So just like people moving to the mines for job opportunities, people are also moving to small rural areas in Australia from overseas for job opportunities as well. And these include the mines, include agriculture and other related industries. What are the other factors? Let's have a look. In rural Dalwellinu, and I think you guys have been to Dalwellinu, a community-led strategy is responsible for Filipinos now representing 5.5% of its population. As a result, the small rural area struggling with population decline turned its fortunes around and achieved 15% population growth. None of this would have happened without community leadership. So in Dalwellinu, the community leaders have said we need to increase our population in order for us to thrive, in order for us to stop our population going down. So more people are leaving Dalwellinu than were coming in, or more people were leaving Dalwellinu than there were coming in. And the leadership in that community said, this is not good for us. We need to find a strategy to increase our population. And their strategy was for Filipinos to come in and grow the town through migration. And because of that, they achieved 15% population growth, which is huge. Imagine that here in the town that we live in, 15% population growth. Another place is Pyramid Hill in Victoria. So Filipinos have also revitalized the town of Pyramid Hill in Victoria. Right, revitalized kind of means refreshed and give a new life. For the first time in many years, this town of just over 420 people is seeing new houses built to accommodate its new Filipino residents, who now make up 25% of its population. So in Pyramid Hill, they have 25% Filipino population, and this is allowing more houses to be built. And when more houses are built, what happens? You have more jobs because you need people to build those houses, you need people to paint those houses. Okay? At the local Catholic school, more than 75% of students are Filipino, and the town has a local Filipino grocery store with 400 different grocery lines. 75% of a Catholic school in Pyramid Hill, 75% of the students are Filipino. So that's 3/4 of the students being Filipino. And you know what happens when you can grow schools? You have bigger classes, you have more teachers. Okay, lots and lots of opportunities can happen because of growth in school populations. These significant changes in population and ethnic diversity don't happen by accident. So we've got changes in population, which means the number of people living in areas. So the changes in the number of people living in rural areas is changing. And ethnic diversity means the types of people, the types of ethnicities that live in certain areas. So diversity means differences, so ethnic differences. And in rural areas in Australia, not all rural areas in Australia, but a significant amount of rural areas in Australia are welcoming ethnic diversity in order to grow their populations. Okay. This change is being driven from within rural communities by groups of locals who recognise that if they want their place to grow, they need more people. If they want their businesses to succeed, they need more workers. And if they want their community to thrive, they need to be open to change. So one of the biggest drivers are leadership within rural communities who want their community to thrive. And the way that they are going to get their community to thrive is by having more people living in their community. And the way that they have found to have more people living in their community is to form a strategy to welcome migration for people from overseas. So the change is not just being driven by people in rural communities, but also migrants. The change in our small towns is also being driven by migrants who see opportunity that rural towns offer. For people looking for a way into the Australian economy, a pathway to owning their own home, and for security and community for their families, rural areas can offer much better prospects than the run-down parts of our major cities. This paragraph is saying that the migrants are seeing huge opportunities in these rural towns as well. So they're seeing a way to own their own home. They're seeing a way to have security, so jobs, community, so friends, and that feel of being like belonging somewhere. And rural towns can offer better prospects, and this means they offer better opportunities, they offer better possibilities than the parts in major cities. So migrants are of course moving to major cities as well, but some people are noticing that rural areas are going to give them more opportunity than the cities are going to. And Dalwellinu in WA and Pyramid Hill in Victoria are two areas that show this can be very successful. Okay, and so remember, your key thing for this paragraph is community-led migration. So migration that is being led by the community. And I hope that this PowerPoint has showed you that in small rural towns in Australia, leaders in the community are trying to get people to migrate to these areas from overseas. Okay, so you can talk about the fact that the leadership within these communities are encouraging migration, and you can talk about migrants from overseas are seeing lots of opportunity in these small towns as well. Okay, thank you for listening.